Et c'est le maître. On est parti pour une vidéo. Aujourd'hui, un petit match, donc mode histoire. On va aller faire la mission donc, de ALBEDO, personnage que je ne connais absolument pas. Donc on va aller voir ça tout de suite, c'est cool. Et let's go. Les petites fées roses.
By Albedo a little while ago. I was called over to attend to. If you need any help, just call my name. If not, I'll... Thanks. No worries. I guess it's no surprise coming from the one who repelled Storm Terror. Actually, since it's you... Here's that name again. Albedo. You and Tomato... Apologies. I never introduced him. Albedo is the Knights of Favonia's chief alchemist. He's also Timaeus and... But Paimon's only ever seen Timaeus teaching alchemy. So that means... Yes. He's dedicated himself to investigate... You often get alchemists coming... Wow! Still, I'm sure that Albedo is a true gentleman. I don't see why not. Albedo and Timaeus... I'm afraid you'll have to... Sorry. Hey! Stop! Is a whole lot less nervous once she gets talking about alchemy and research, huh? Is that what all researchers are like?
Alors, mon dragon. Peut-être pas que j'y ai retourné là-haut.
I've told you already, I don't go in for that kind of thing. I've got more...
But this event has commemorative significance. The church...
Hopes? That's odd, because I don't recall a fulfill the hopes of others clause in my job description.
I mean...
But what? You're the event organizer, aren't you? Do you not find it the least bit?
What do you...
This far out from Mondstadt at this hour? Even if you set out right now... Who knows? Maybe this is someone's grand plan to make a fool of...
Huh? Well, that can't be. People aren't like that.
Evidence decides what people are like, not your feelings. Don't fret. Nobody's gonna blame you if you go back empty-handed. I can't imagine anyone else was delusional enough to think I was gonna show up. But if you dally any longer...
You're right. It's a very important commemorative event. If I'm late, then... right, I've gotta get going.
Pauvre Barbara.
Seems like that sister's an expert in make...
I thought I heard something. Who are you and why are you eavesdropping?
We better watch out. She seems like a dangerous villain. Or a trickster at best.
Oh, really? I'm a member of the long-standing Favonius Church. You're an eavesdropping pixie from who knows where. And you think I'm the trickster?
Wait, she heard that? Paimon was whispering so quietly.
And as for this outlander you seem to be following, the honorary knight that saved otherwise, depending on your answer, I could have arrested you on the spot.
What? Do the Sisters of Mondstadt have the authority to arrest people now?
We can't go turning a blind eye to hidden dangers, can we? Why shouldn't...
That doesn't sound right. But Paimon can't think of a good comeback.
Let's talk about you. What are you doing in the mountains? If it's him you're after, I made a point of noting it. Many people have made their way up after the snowstorm. Let's hope they're still there.
So, are you...
No, this is just a professional habit of mine. I couldn't care what you think. Come on then. I'd like...
Rosaria said there were elemental traces in the trash. They should show up
Alors,
in the elemental site.
You know, little pixie, your ability to appear and disappear at will is very interesting.
Yeah?
After committing a crime,
It's getting colder and colder. Rosaria, aren't you freezing?
me? I'm all right. I got used to operating in adverse conditions a long time ago.
Huh? Seems like there's more to being a sister in the Favonius Church than Paimon realized.
alors qu'est-ce qu'on a là?
Is that Albedo? Why would he hang around?
The word on the street is he loves painting. He'll hang around anywhere for a good... The views and scenery here are pretty good.
What? Can't he see those? Looks like we startled them.
Elle a couché sa bête.
Let's take them out of the picture first.
Il est parti l'autre.
Who are
No.
you? Why did thank the gods I'd already completed my painting? Would have been a shame to leave these particular hilly trails and
What's with painting hilly churls? What?
I'm afraid the answer isn't easy to explain. If you'd like to have a look at my painting, it may give you a clue.
Wow.
You can find these hilly trails anywhere. Quite boring, in fact. Not worth closer inspection. But take a look at this specimen. The build, the coat. In the cyclical lives of such primitive communities, such unique attributes are an indication of evolution at work. Evolution, the transition from nothing into...
Hold your horses. Something tells me we're in for a thesis and I haven't got the stamina. We found your man. I'm headed back.
La petite Rosalia zombie là.
Don't you?
So Sister Rosaria brought you. Surprising, but back to the point. From her word.
We met a girl in Mondstadt, Sucrose. She said you were...
I see. So Then, if I'm not mistaken, you must be the honorary knight. I've heard a bit of everything. Your actions during Storm Terror's attack, your elemental control. I'll skip to the conclusion. There's only one possibility after all. You came from... Excellent. If I could procure your assistance, I think my research would... Forgive me. This must be confusing.
C'est un géo déjà, d'après son médaille.
You're right. For example, awakening life. Breathing new life into fallen leaves.
You can do that?
However, I have a particular seed in my possession. The method I'm talking about, it's like you, in that it hails from another world. Helping it to grow.
Well, if you're struggling to...
I beg to differ. I'm unable to comprehend the intricacies, but you're not from the known world. By observing and researching you...
shall we just get out of here?
It's possible. But I will do everything in my control. Time for a change of surroundings. We should be going.
Albedo and that traveler seem to have hit it off. Takes a weirdo to know one, I guess. I wonder, Does this constitute a...
Ah, elle a l'air de tenir quand même un petit peu à Albedo, hein, la petite Rosalia là. Ah, c'est peut-être la mission d'ailleurs qui va me faire mon 100%. Que là, pour ce qui est de... Hop là, go et touche. Je suis à 94% sur mon dragon. Et j'ai fini par mageler l'arbre complet, donc... je vois pas ce qui peut me manquer encore.
Paimon has a question. After the seeds sprout,
I don't know. But I feel the importance using alchemy to awaken otherworldly life into that would constitute a big leap in my understanding of the essence of life. After awakening, even creation may be possible.
no. Paimon's got a brain. But what's the seed?
Well, if it turns out to be a delicious...
Yay! Paimon's holding you to it.
Well, let's just say I, occasionally have to look after a child. Another lengthy explanation, I'm afraid. I suppose it's one of... The subject of my first research was the elements. In this world, manipulating the elements requires a vision. Though I can't see anything resembling how you're able to freely manipulate elemental power is something I'd like to ascertain. Firstly, do you have any extra organs? A second heart? A fourth stomach? Fascinating. And this floating...
What a stupid question. Can't you see the gap between them? And another thing, it's Paimon, not...
I was merely considering the possibility that you were an external organ. Oh, that rules out that possibility. But that would mean that Paimon's elemental power would be enough to break through a mountain rock at least 10 meters thick, or cause the waterfall south of Springfield to flow backwards.
Hey, how would you know any...
In that case, it would appear that there's no obvious difference between the composition of your... Given that there's clearly a discrepancy in the research, it seems that only experimentation will yield the answers. Firstly, this mysterious elemental power. I'd like to examine exactly how it manifests. Let me lure a few slimes to the area. Perhaps you'd be able to defeat them.
Huh?
Direct and clear observation. Naturally, if you require a greater challenge, we could bring in 6 Oceanids.
Slimes! Slimes are fine.
Well, prepare yourself.
Hey there! Cha! Ha! Hiya! Hey there! Ha! Watch out! Hey there! Hiya!
Great work. Did you feel... If you're injured, I have a few emergency potions ready. Excellent. According to my observations, the manifestation of the external elemental flow is as expected. Now that we know that the external flow is manifesting normally, let's test...
Internal flow?
It's very simple. I can use alchemy to create a potion that, if the elemental power is stored or accumulated physically within your body, this potion may elicit an elemental reaction.
Sounds kinda...
Don't worry. In the normal course of events, you'd feel some temporary queasiness.
And in...
If anything unexpected occurs, I've made the necessary preparations. Well, it's not that there aren't any... Just a warning. If an internal elemental reaction occurs for any other reason, that's a bad sign. Yes, that's an excellent way to think about it. Before we get started, the potion we'll use for the test is it's a type of ore known as star silk. I'll take you to my camp.
J'en ai de l'argent étoile.
Paimon, let's keep our eye.
J'ai de l'argent étoile déjà sur moi.
Here, should do for catalyst purposes. This one, usable with a bit of polish. What luck. This should be enough. My campsite is just up ahead. I'll lead the way.
Ah, mais non, c'est le côté laser de glace, on vous dit plus rien, hein. Fais-moi le malin, hein. C'est chauffé quand même, on sait jamais. Mais bon, Albedo qui essaie de me faire péter les organes, je suis pas rassuré quand même, hein.
This is my campsite. While we are waiting, have a look over here. My assistant Timaeus here is helping me with my research.
Hello! I've just gotten hold of the data from your experiment.
Whoa! Look at all the data!
I wouldn't call them results, inferences, and a few daring guesses perhaps. I think the most rational direction would be to expound on the phylogenetic relationship between this traveler and the slimes. Consider. You don't have a vision, but you can manipulate elemental energy. The slimes don't have visions either, yet they, following this line of thought, I'm sure we'll be able to...
Not bad for a point of entry. But strictly speaking, slimes are elemental life forms. In other words, being a cryoregis slime, or even a wildflower might be a better analogy. But tracing back the phylogenetic relationships between plants and animals, in that sense, things might get difficult.
Yes, sir.
After all, we've got our primary data already. If it turned out that he did have a phylogenetic relationship with this world.
It would. Apologies. I was so excited to get the data. Also, speaking of data, to complete our research, we'll need some more. I'll be conducting analysis here for the time being. If you're keen for an update, just come and find me.
Great, I'll leave you to it.
En tout cas, j'aime bien le look par contre d'Albedo. Le look du personnage.
Looks like the potion's ready. I'll try a little first. Yep. In line with my expectation. I've just tried some. Remember to keep calm. I'll be noting down all. Remember to keep calm at all times. And breathe deeply if you feel unwell.
You sure it was...
Oh, this was the result This potion channels elemental power into the body. Under normal circumstances, but if the internal elemental flow is unimpeded, you'll only experience momentary discomfort.
So you knew you'd be sick and...
It was my own concoction, of course. Only natural for me to be the guinea pig. But of course, in conclusion, I'd say we have our conclusion. As far as elemental energy is concerned.
Oh, Paimon wanted something cool.
Then again, better an ordinary result than a peculiar result. Peculiar results have a tendency to be of the good thing about ordinary is that everything is an object of reference, and people are the same, They can understand, empathize, and when you're sick, a doctor can diagnose you because they are you. When something goes wrong, you can ask people who've made the same, but a peculiar person. They don't have much recourse for the things we take for granted. The essence of their, for example, a human can't understand the life of a pyroregisvine or an eye of the storm. To sum up, this has been a positive outcome. Going forward, Timaeus, the results of the new experiment are out. If you...
Just a moment, sir. I'll handle it. Oh, you gave me a lot to consider. Really stretched my limits. Having you down as an animal wasn't very precise of me. But starting with the premise of an elemental life form? Now that...
Not bad. I think it's an interesting line of inquiry. Whatever the truth of the matter.
You can...
Is he trying to... what?
En fait, j'arrive pas à savoir la nature de la mission, quoi. À part il nous analyse, c'est cool. Mais j'arrive pas à comprendre la nature de la quête. Dans la zone Zongli, toi, il nous a aidé à une quête. Après, on l'a aidé à protéger contre la... je sais plus comment ça s'appelle, le démon de terre. L'autre, on l'a aidé pour ci, l'autre pour ça. Mona pour retrouver un logement, etc. etc. Mais là, j'arrive pas à comprendre la nature de la quête. Il n'y a pas d'ennemis, rien, en fait. Il n'y a pas de jugement, quoi.
Anything interesting? Not to worry. Well, on with... There may be significant difference. Take to that, for example. But worlds may well exist where... So, leaving I think answering this question calls for the same methodology as last time. No. You shan't be required. Now, see this pillar here? Use your willpower to try and break it. That was your best effort?
What's with the disappointment?
Have you tried using your elemental power with food? I don't mean for cooking as such. Rather, I'm curious to see how the taste and texture respond. It may even... Anyway. Why don't... Not only is this recipe a staple for me, it's also worth expecting.
Pineapple does sound yummy, though. Okay.
I'll leave you to it then. If there's anything left over, maybe Timaeus can finish the last one.
Paimon doesn't think we'll have that problem. How are we gonna channel elemental power into the food?
That was fat. An average outcome experimentally, but you've really brought out the flavor. As far as the proliferation hypothesis is concerned, we've come up short. Seems like, unless... Could it be that the natural laws of this...
We just didn't know how to channel elemental power into the food. It's a little more complicated than adding herbs.
Not to worry. At least we put some food to good use. And here's your portion. Enjoy.
Woohoo! Thanks! Glad you were paying attention.
I can tell that you're good friends. Paimon was keeping an eye on you and your safety during the whole experiment. Not that Paimon would have been able to do much if things had gone wrong.
Hey! But you do have tasty recipe. And you're right, we are good friends.
Yes. I'm fortunate too, I suppose. There are all manner of alchemical items here. Keeping them in their proper place is a challenge at the best of times. I managed to retrieve the majority, but 2 vials have been evading me. Animal crystal fly
Paimon's barely finished eating and you want us to go...
Don't worry if you can't locate them. If you had, say, superpower, like night vision or a vibratory... I must have dropped them somewhere in the area where you...
So, guess we'd better take a look. Oh, yeah! This must be electrohypostasis powder. The extract of an animo crystal fly can only be animo elemental
Goodness. You managed to find? I'm wondering. This elemental sight.
Yep. Guess it does sort of count.
Unfortunately, though elemental sight only a never-before-seen otherworldly power would be of benefit.
You mean,
Don't be disheartened. I have to commend your deduction that the items would contain right then. Up until now, our research has focused on your otherworldly identity. In essence, looking out from where we're standing, can you see what Sucrose is doing? And if you jump from here and landed on that cliff, the one over there, so what about if you planted a single blow on the mountain face here, and it burst into 1,000,000 fragments? Then could you see her? Then I shouldn't get too excited. Still, I know of a location that will be perfect for a physical test.
Je sais pas ce qu'il veut, il croit qu'on est super quoi. On va frapper la montagne, pouf! Une montagne, non mais genre... au bout d'un moment quoi, arrête.
Not necessarily. Not if you know of a better method, that is. Whichever method you choose, the experiment will end when you reach the opposite shore. I will factor the time expended and your top speed into my comparative
the opposite side of the lake.
Without limitations, we complete tasks intuitively. Some of us would be unable. No matter what choice you make, it's all a part of the experiment. Then if you would, please.
Wait a minute. While we're busy testing, what exactly are you gonna be doing?
Me? Recording data, responding to risks, providing emotional support.
So if we do decide to go swimming, you gonna dive in with us?
No. Unless you're thinking of conducting competitive research?
Oh! Forget Paimon said anything.
Great work. I've never seen your reputation precedes you, traveler.
But you followed us the whole way with...
Me? Actually, I used alchemy to if it turns out that the natural laws of Tavad do not affect you, I should be able to make if the natural laws of Tavad do affect you, then I shall be able to make inferences into the kind of evolution that would occur under the innumerable possibilities that this could present.
But how does this help your reason?
You've helped me to unravel many of the problems that were holding it back. When we return to the campsite, I may be about to make some analogies between you and a few unusual, old, petrified trees. The essence, I'm willing to all these things.
Oh, so that's...
Precisely.
So after all...
Of course not. Now, follow me.
Allez, voyons voir ce que tu veux. On va sauter par en haut. Ce sera toujours plus court. Alors, qu'est-ce qu'il y a en bas?
imagine you must have encountered more than a few. I'd like to observe your intelligence by means of a practical. I'd like you to explore. There are 2 puzzles located. As with the physical test, there are no restrictions. I tried and tested it. So, let's see you. It's a complex environment, so proceed with caution. Sealy like these are a common sight in the mountains. Returning them to their rightful places is up to you.
Quand ton personnage veut pas sauter, c'est chiant par contre.
Lighter, please. Watch out! Hey there! Hey there! Hiya!
It should now be possible to activate the central mechanism.
Et tous les trucs sur les mounts.
Exactly what will happen when you do is something I'm looking forward to finding out. Oh, seems that the water level. What's this? To the best of my knowledge, these belong to a script of some kind. They can be. There's still a lot to learn about them. And as for why they should ever have come to rest here, let me make a copy first. I'll make time to go over them in greater detail.
Seems like if you...
I've truly gained a lot from all. Let me return to the campsite first. By the time you get back, I may just have a fleeting miracle for you to witness.
Paimon's kind of looking for, unless you can think...
Not so fast. You're not leaving until I'm convinced that nothing dangerous.
You!
I most certainly did not. And I've witnessed everything. I must say, you let your guards down. Or maybe you were drawn in by his compelling sounding hypothesis and friendly demeanor. Taking orders from a complete stranger? Drinking anonymous potions? I'd sooner believe you were tricked than that you would be so naive. Or perhaps you were colluding from...
Sister Rosaria's guard's so high, she can't even see over the top of it.
It doesn't matter what you think. He could be a saint for all you know. But I understand him a little better than you, Outland. I'm only concerned with one thing. Whether his alchemy has transformed you into something more.
No way! Paimon would have sensed it. And anyway,
With an alchemist of his level, you wouldn't sense a thing. In any case, I'm not about to let a potential threat back into Mondstadt.
So, what are you gonna do?
I've got gotta hand it to you. You have your moments. If I can be sure, I've investigated everything else. The only items left.
But we don't.
That much is true. But for insurance purposes, I'd better make a copy. This is now a location. Now then, all things considered, I deem that you pose no immediate threat, which is what I was hoping. I would have been one very unhappy sister.
Overtime.
Before we go our separate ways, Outlander, a word of advice. Don't be so quick to trust Albedo, and don't repeat the same mistakes that you did this time. You made a lot of rash decisions today.
She's gone.
Le problème, c'est que toi, t'as une gueule de zombie, ma soeur. Donc, genre, en qui je dois faire plus confiance, quoi? Entre zombie, non-zombie ou un blondinet alchimiste d'état, quoi? Que bon, si le frère Elric qui nous emmerde, on peut toujours lui foutre un coup de pelle dans la tronche, quoi. Mais la bonne sœur, ça, qu'est-ce que tu veux qu'on lui fasse? Elle est déjà morte.
You're back. Good timing. You took quite a while. Did you get held up on the way back? Time for the results. But the integral preliminary conclusion that I can offer you is you're very much...
You couldn't tell that just by looking? We spent all day working our butts off.
Please, I understand that this may have seemed self-evident to you, but in fact, have you ever considered that the world of Tevat may have a natural hostility to Outlanders? I mentioned the natural laws of this world. You're able to converse with me here without consequence, and nothing seems amiss. But the only other life form that, like you, has come here from afar is the seed that I mentioned, but after I observed you, imitating you helped to inspire my alchemy. And so...
It looks like something's appearing.
The transition from nothing into something, from shoot to stem, is not nurturing otherworldly life, also nurturing the world itself. It would seem that that's as far as we go. A trip.
Paimon thought with all our efforts, it might have bloomed forever. And it didn't even have any...
Life is a manifold tapestry of free entities. Its value shouldn't derive from how long it stays with us. Even a momentary burst is a short life can be well lived. A life lived efficiently, lived to perfection, is necessarily so. Do you understand what I meant about us?
Don't be sad. Albedo, Paimon really...
Thank you both. Even if dispelling loneliness is not essential for life, your help inspired me to discover the means to make a flower bloom. I mean that it's in the future. If the need arises, well... I made a point throughout of telling him how ordinary the but what was that sediment I saw forming at the bottom of the vial? It should not have been there. Those born of earth are bound by its imperfections, but those born of chalk are free of impurities. You and I are alike, both composed of a substance that has yet to be fully defined. If, one day, I lose control, can I rely on you to stop me?
Oh, d'accord, donc il est pas si gentil que ça, quoi. Et bah les gars, j'espère que ça vous a plu. On se dit à la prochaine vidéo, c'était fait rire. Ciao les gars.
Surtout partagez, likez et obéissez.